Hello!
Hey.
Welcome everybody to our live show for Definitely Dead. We're joined by Sam today as well, shaking it up a wee bit. And where's your copy?
Oh. Ooh. Oh, I love how we all have different
I
book
know we
covers.
do. We'll go
It's
in
so
the different
cool.
series.
Mine has an ugly thing on it, and it's like, it's not
I
even a
haven't worked.
sticker.
I haven't worked out why Sam's on the front of this book when
I
he's not
know,
really
it's so
in.
Oh,
not
yeah.
Sam.
The
He
the
had like
the,
one line.
the covers and the story on these editions, there's no correlation whatsoever.
Hello, Jack.
Hi, Jack.
Hey.
Morning.
Oh, I'm behind on my tickers already. Here we go. Me trying to monitor comments and the headers. I'm terrible at it. So how was everybody's general feelings on the book then before we get into specifics?
I enjoy this one. I like this story.
I loved it. I actually think this is one of my favorites. I know I just did like that tag, and I was like, this one's my favorite, I think. Just because I don't know what it is about it. It was just, this was one of my favorites. It had a lot of action,
I'm the
and
same.
we got
Yeah,
a cool
my
new.
favourite as well. My favourite as well. I just think that there's so many, like you find out so much in this book as well. And
Yeah.
it's just great. I loved it. Absolutely loved
And of course, Quinn's in this book. And so when people say, "Who do you ship?" I've never been able to say, "I ship
it.
Sookie and Quinn," but I can see it now.
I'm
Um,
very pleased.
we also
That's
got
my
some.
very first point. I put it right at front billing for you.
I wasn't shipping them, but I was like, okay, yeah, this is a good guy for Sookie.
I do. I really like Suki and Quinn together, and I do ship them, but obviously no as much as I ship Suki and Alcide. Like they are my top-notch couple for me. But I do really like Suki and Quinn together. I think that they have a really interesting dynamic, and I feel like we get to see a different side of Suki being with Quinn than what we have in the past. Because I feel like Quinn almost treats her a bit more like an equal. Like he doesn't think automatically that she always needs protecting. And actually, we've saw a lot of Suki trying to protect him more so than him protect her when they've been in sort of times of danger. And so I really like seeing that side of her as well. And, you know, her thinking about the vulnerabilities that he has when he shifts, whereas she's never really thought about that with previous supernatural partners, talking about like when they sort of lose control a wee bit, she's always been like, oh, what a ball bag. But like with Quinn, she's like, oh well, he might be feeling this and he might be feeling that. So I feel like Quinn gives her sort of a maybe an understanding of what it's like to be supernatural.
He also has more control over it too. Like he doesn't seem to just fall in line with his natural instincts.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay.
Which I think she appreciates.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, I think that's because there's no expectations of who she is, or what she is, or what. There's no that sort of expectation of what she can do for him. It is a more sort of equal, and I think in a way because we keep going back to how Suki does have this sort of southern idea of what a gentleman should be, and
Mm-mm.
he comes across as like that, sort of asking her out on a date and taking her somewhere nice and sort of all of that stuff. So all the romantic stuff that she thinks about, he is sort of he's shown that to her, isn't he?
He's a local.
Yeah, he's from the south.
Yeah,
he
he's
knows he knows
genuinely
the
from the South.
customs. He knows the
Your
customs.
friendly local neighbourhood tiger.
But I think it would have had to be at this point. I think with everything that you've mentioned, what Sophie's learned, and then with Jason and everything, she does see him different as well. So it is a more caring relationship on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
We're seeing a little bit of that with Eric as well, the sort of caring side of it. So yeah,
But Quinn's properly courting her too. Like he asked her out formally. they went on a proper date. They had to cancel their second date, but you know, but he's like actually going through like her ideal steps for
Mhm.
this is
Yeah.
how a man should be treating me.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then on the topic of how a man should treat you.
Oh,
That's
oh, oh.
Jack's just mentioned this in the chat. I think this is real about Bill.
I know.
On
I was
you.
gonna say, yeah, we got his true colors, and I was none too pleased. I almost threw the book.
So much back. We do get so much backstory.
Yeah.
Big reveal about Bill and the fairies. Yes.
Oh yeah, the fairies. Mm.
Well, I felt a wee bit. Oh, I was getting annoyed at Sookie in parts of this book because of how much she was like thinking back about Bill and about their relationship and stuff. And I feel like it's fine to be reflective, but I feel like it properly solidified like there were still some feelings there.
Mhm.
And then we obviously get like the Bill reveal, where it's like a total flip, and then that sort of just dissipates, and she's like, I fucking hate you, which I thought was sort of an interesting parallel, especially as she had her sort of romance with Quinn starting to bloom.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he kind of dropped that bombshell while she was in a vulnerable place too. So it was like, yeah, I'm like hurt and in a hospital. Now you're gonna attack. It's kind of like a personal attack almost, but it's like, what are you doing here? You just came here just to drop this bomb on me, and I don't know.
I know.
I was mad. I was
I
mad.
as well. And I hate all this, like, oh, I've still got feelings for you, I still love you nonsense. Like, just because she's happy and moving on. Like, that's not pal.
Mm.
Yeah, I got over that quick. But at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like, I get it. I think that he does truly have feelings for her, but I was like, no, I'm done with you. You can go someplace else.
I was the same. I love that we all hate Bill. See if there was somebody
Now I don't like. It's like,
her Bill stand. It would be awkward.
But I think when I first read them, there was a lot of sort of Bill stands out there, sort of Sookie Bill all the way. And definitely when we got to this book, I think it was a bit like, no, you can't make him like that, because it didn't fit in with their sort of idea of what should be happening. So I think it was a great twist by Charlene Harris to set him up to be this our first love and everything like that. And then sort of, well, actually, it was all based on the fact that he was out to find out what you were and how useful you could be. He knew all along that.
Max says she likes Quinn and Sookie together, but still Team Eric. I think he gives me Spike vibes. Oh, I have never thought about that, but yes, that's class. I love that she finally gets a supernatural friend who doesn't want to jump into bed with her. Aye, Amelia.
yeah.
Hi, Alice. Didn't reread, so here for the spoilers. Alice likes Quinn as well. And the whole reveal elevates the series.
I was going to say, Alice is rereading through our read-alongs. I think she's not rereading the books physically; she's just having a refresh as well as we go along.
Quite right.
Put it on your books read though, Alice. Get that TBR down.
So then we find out a lot about the breeding rules in packs in this book, which I thought was so interesting. That was one of the most interesting things to me, because I feel, again, like in so many other supernatural romance books, like, I get you've just got to sort of feel like suspend disbelief a wee bit and sort of roll with it a lot of the time, but I don't feel like things are as thoroughly explained as they are in Charlene Harris's world. Like, she's like, no, this is supernatural creatures and this is how they buck. This is how they make babies. And I appreciate that as a detail-orientated reader. And so I thought that was something that was really interesting and like something that we haven't really seen before or really thought about. Like, we've seen Sookie have relationships with different supernatural creatures, but we've never really thought about how that would look in terms of their pack accepting Sookie and what Sookie might need to accept in our relationship. We've always just thought about, I guess, what they would need to accept to being with her and know the other way about. So I thought that was really interestingly done.
Yeah, it wasn't so much the breeding rules, but it was more about like what's a shifter. It was right at the beginning of the book. I was like, oh, so they kind of just clearly highlight what makes a shifter versus a wear versus blah 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 blah. But it made it easier for me to comprehend. But she kind of just like, hey, this is what we're this is where we're at, and this is what Sam is versus this is kind of like what Quinn is, I guess, and all of these guys. But that was it wasn't so much the breeding rules, but what makes a wear versus a shapeshifter versus what. But it's all confirmed.
I think she's good at doing that as well. She doesn't sort of info dump it, but she puts it in a way sort of near the beginning of a book. Like if you haven't read any of the other books, you could read the book as a standalone, and still understand the world that it's created in, but also in a way where if you've read the other books, it's sort of there's little things in there that then you think, oh, that's why that was like that back then. She intertwines them really well, I think, to give you that understanding of the world that she's created.
Yeah.
I would be far too jealous to be down with the pack breeding rules.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, I'd be like, if you want to go off and have babies with other women, I do not think so.
Yeah.
I would be fuming. I'd be like, don't care if your species go extinct. Set David Attenborough in there. I don't give a fuck.
I don't care. I mean, a part of that kind of threw me off at that is adored at the end of that book because we got that like fight scene, and I was like, I don't want this. This isn't okay. I don't know. It threw me off there, but I know what you mean. It's like we're in a monogamous relationship now.
Nobody else is having your babies. I might not want your babies, but it doesn't mean you can have anybody else. And then something else I thought was really funny that was mentioned in this book
All right.
was about Sookie's period because there's like
Feels like
eye like an actual shark in the water smelling blood, which I just thought was hysterical. Like it was so funny to me because there's so many like jokes and memes and stuff like that about like Twilight and like about Edward, being able to sense when Bella's on her period and stuff, and like other vampire fiction and TV shows and stuff. And it's always sort of this like joke, and Charlene Harris just made it canon. Which I loved. I was like, yes.
What was it? It was the bar scene where at the beginning of the book. And what's his name? Bill. Just sitting there. And she's like, oh yeah, Bill knew at that very moment too.
I know. Like, I just thought that was very funny.
Yeah, it is. I feel the same, Jack. I love our sense of humour and just subtle one-liners that's in there.
Yeah.
And just going places where no other vampire story author has gone before. Possibly.
She's in this genre and she's just like enhanced it a bit, and all the stuff that's maybe like left out a lot of other ones, she's just like, no, actually, let me think about this and let me see how it would fit into a realistic world, because I still feel like everything is very realistic. And I know that sounds wild because we're at the point where we have like fairies and were-tigers, but it still feels so real and beautiful to me.
But that's what I think I love about her. She hasn't made it a fantasy. She's thought about it from, if you were a human and this was happening to you, sort of. So that's like I mean, we now know there's something special about Sookie, but for all intents and purposes, she's a human. So her inner monologues and her dealing with her day-to-day life is sort of rather than it being fantastical and all of this. Yeah, she's just like if you were a working class girl living in Louisiana and your first boyfriend was a vampire, how would things go?
I know.
You
Aye.
know?
It's like a literally fiction if vampires were real. It's great. Something else I wanted to talk about is obviously the Fellowship popped back up in this book again. And they were in the last book as well, but very, very briefly. They were obviously mentioned a wee bit more in this one. How's everybody feeling about them being brought back in?
I think that when she does this, she subtly has these subplots that's working the way through. So they don't become the main plot because really in this book we'll find out all about the kings and queens and the structure and everything like that. And I love the fact that she made New Orleans like the epicenter, like that homage to the original American vampires, because that's where American vampires originate from. Here in Europe, you know, where Eastern Europe brought up vampires into us. We then sent them to you via New Orleans. You can thank me later. So I like that homage to sort of that idea, but at the same time, with all that grandeur that was going on, there's still this underlying threat that she keeps coming back, that humans are not happy about this. There is, and it doesn't matter how powerful she's shown you they are, like with all, like when they go, they still have to have all that security and everything else put in place. So it sort of makes you think that they do have, like, they come across vampires, oh, you can't kill a vampire and whatever, but she gives them this humanity. Humanity's not my word. Like, they're not immortal. We can kill them if we want to. We'll find a way. And I think that's the thing with humans. Humans always want to be the top of the food chain. They always want to be the top, so they will find a way to get whatever they want. So I just find it, yeah, babbling over.
But I agree. I agree about the Fellowship, that it's like this big bad that she's slowly like integrating into the plot, that it's kind of like it keeps creeping up in these minor excuse me, these minor little ways in like each book. I mean, what was it in Dallas when we dealt with them last? But it's like it's creeping up and it's becoming this bigger thing, and it makes me nervous every time they bring it up, because I'm like, oh God, they're gonna have to deal with these people. They're really gonna be a problem.
They're becoming more and more fanatic.
Yeah,
you can see the sort of social commentary about how fanatic they're becoming, and how the longer the coming together and building as a fellowship, the more dangerous that they're becoming.
A lot of the things that they talk about, though, whenever she brings them up, they kind of reminds me of like the Scientology people, and I'm like, they're getting kind of, they do a lot of kooky things, and it's just like, even in the human world, it's not exactly socially accepted, I guess. I don't know. There's something about it that creeps me out. It's like,
like
is it a
cultish.
church? It is cultish.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, I don't like these people. They're making me scared.
I think that makes the commentary, doesn't it, about what is a religion and what is a group of people who declare themselves a religion, and where does that come from? So I think a sort of social commentary in that is spot on. I think especially in America.
I think it's good as well that, like, obviously they were sort of the main storyline in book 2 or 3. I can't remember what one. And like she's just sort of feeding in. Like they haven't went away and they haven't disappeared. Like they had one act of violence that we got to witness and be a part of, but like it doesn't mean that has just went away. Like, and I think that that's really good, because it's not just like, oh well, that's forgotten about now, and like no, this is the focus. Like it's still happening, and that to me just helps the world again feel more realistic.
Yeah, it's like Jack's just put on there. Vamps are vulnerable. That is the word I was looking for, Jack. Thank you very much. And yeah, the wider politics of it being drip fed in, and that you can see it happening in society right now.
hmm
It is set in reality. It's not a fantasy in any way. She's just very good at
But they
putting
mentioned,
those bits in.
yeah, but they mentioned at some point that it's like there's the American model, and they're trying to make them more widely accepted across, like, is it parts of Europe, or I don't remember what
Mm,
she mentioned something like that. There's like, but it had to do with the vampire politics and how they're trying to integrate them more into
yeah,
human society.
because I think that's a nod towards America really was set up based on people wanted religious freedom and they wanted to go somewhere where they weren't controlled by sort of the governments of the day or the
Mhm.
monarchies of the day that were in there. So that was the sort of foundation of settling in America, where it's the land of the free, isn't it? So you can have whatever religion you like and have whatever rights you like. Although as time's gone on in your history, it
Yeah.
may have not developed into this utopia that Europeans believed that it was going to be for them.
No, not at all.
Not so much. So, honey, also wanted to just quickly mention, as this is the first time in the book where we get like a mention of demons, and she just sort of feel like
Mm,
slides it in, like we were just supposed
yeah.
to know demons existed and they were a thing. Do we think that could potentially bring more storylines, or do you think that that's just a wee there we go, just bringing in another supernatural element, and then if there are demons, are there like other supernaturally creatures that we haven't got to meet yet? Potentially like angels, things like that.
Yeah, Claudine mentioned a bunch of stuff. She's like, "Oh yeah,
I
no, I'm not a
know.
brownie. I'm a fairy, and you're a fairy." I think she is, but you're right. She kind of just like, "Oh yeah, that was a demon."
I was
Yeah.
like, what?
Okay.
Remember they're demons?
But it's sort of that world building that she does very, very subtly. Um, and then it makes you think we started off with vampires, and I think Suki says it quite a few times as we've been through the book. Well, if there's vampires and shifters, what else is there? And now we're
Yeah.
discovering, well, if there's fairies, what else is there? And it's like,
Mhm.
well, there's demons. So if there's demons, it's always that next step, that realization of that not everybody's the same, and there is all these different groups out there. So it's like, who is Suki going to meet up with next? How are they going to be intertwined in?
I know there's sort of feel like endless possibilities at this point as to what could happen and where she could go next, which I
Mhm.
thought was really cool. And then seeing as we're talking about other soups, I feel like it's an appropriate time to mention Fairy Suki. How
But I
was
like how
everyone feeling at that reveal?
it makes sense. I mean, it makes perfect sense, and it makes me wonder, did Harris know from the beginning that this is probably why men will be so obsessed with her? But it is male-centric, though. So I don't
Mm.
know. I mean, it's kinda thrown in maybe, but it was a fun reveal.
And I think she also plays on the word fairy in relation to it being a queer reference.
She did, she made
Um,
a
because she calls Claude, where Suki says Claude is a fairy,
yeah.
sort of literally,
Yeah,
not.
he's literally fairy. Not that other kind of fairy,
Although,
but he is.
But he's also that as
But he
so
is.
she sort of plays on that, and I think I don't know whether it's a play on Suki's identity as well, that people are attracted to her as a person,
Mhm.
um, and sort of having that conversation maybe come through later on in
But
the
her
book.
brother
So
as well, because he's, like, a ladies' man. So,
mm.
it's like, okay.
Because I think she says as well, "Oh well, that explains Jason," because
yes,
really Jason is
Yeah.
anything. So like he can't have a good conversation. I don't think Jason. I mean, no respect to Jason Stackhouse, but I don't suppose you go on a date with Jason Stackhouse to have a sort of conversation Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And be
Yeah.
enlightened by this person. I think you'll go on a date with the Jake and Staghouse to get drunk and get laid, basically.
Yeah.
So there you
I mean,
go.
that's not a bad reason for a date. Let's be honest.
But to have all these different types of women who will go on a
Yeah.
date with
Yeah.
Jason's Staghouse because she'll, do you know what I mean? It's just funny.
But now
And
it has me wondering just now about the Jason stuff with
Yeah.
I forgot her name. See, that's how much I also care about his girlfriend's name. But it's like I can't remember her name. And Sookie's just like, I don't really like her that much. But
Yeah.
you know.
And I'm interested to see how if Jason has this fairy blood or whatever heritage, how that's going to affect him as a shifter.
Yeah.
Because I think I can't. I may have made this up because sometimes I do, but I'm sure like Sookie's had the same sort of thoughts, sort of like, well, he's not going to be exactly the same as someone that they've bitten because he's also got this fairy heritage. So what's going to happen there?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I was
He may save a whole generation
Mhm.
of shifters by reproducing.
Oh God! See if Jason Stackhouse was born to do anything, he was born for that purpose. Like 100%. I really loved the reveal. I thought it was brilliant, and I really liked that it was just done in such a nonchalant way because I just think that is like very Suki. Like,
Yeah.
you'd be like, oh, obviously you're a fairy. Did you know? Like, duh. And I really enjoyed it, and I think as well, like, anytime anybody has met Suki for the very, very beginning of the book, and even in the TV show, they're like, "What are you?" Like,
Yeah.
and we're like, she's like, "What do you mean? No, a human or a regular American gal? Like, what you on about?" And then, like, obviously she isn't, which I just think is just brilliant how that's been like totally fed through to this point where you're like, of course she isn't.
And I think the red herring of her being a telepath. So even if they do think there's something a little strange, she puts it down to being a telepath. So she has an explanation about why people ask her that, which has got nothing to do why they are actually asking her that. And
Yeah.
yeah, I love the performance in True Blood, but they took Jason in a completely different direction in True Blood, which I also loved
I did as
as
well.
well.
I haven't
Did
seen
you?
the show yet.
Have you
Oh,
not? Oh,
wait,
No.
finish reading them all and
I
then
am. I want to read all the books. That's
you
my
do.
plan.
Read
I'm
all
like,
the
I got to
books.
read all the books and then I want to watch it.
and
Because I
then
have the
watch it.
first I have the first season. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna watch it. I want
We'll
to
have to have a
serial it.
watch along. Sam, we'll have a watch along.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah.
Although, like, currently me and Simon are watching the last series just now, but I mean, I will start from the beginning again.
Well,
Like,
I've
100%.
started to watch it and then I had to stop because I was getting confused between the books and the TV show.
Oh.
So what was
I
happening in
was
the TV show? I'm thinking, have I read that yet? And I was
yeah, I
getting
was just
confused.
afraid
So.
that I would like see something that would creep up in the book and I was like, oh that the movie spoiled me. I don't want to be spoiled for the book.
No,
So
that's fair. That's
because I'm
fair.
reading these for the first time too, and I'm like, ooh, I don't want to spoil it with the show.
So no spoilers.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Then something else I wanted to talk about then.
Mhm.
Queen. We obviously get quite a lot of vampire politics introduced to us in this book. I was living for because we all know, like, I am a politics kind of gal. Politics die hard. It's one of my biggest interests and passions. So, like, even fake politics, I am all there for. 1,000%. I mean, British politics is basically fake politics.
And Amy's expertise is vampire politics.
Yes.
She's teaching a class.
Across the canon.
But I just thought it was brilliant, and the Queen is like one of my favourite characters. I thought she was phenomenally written.
I mean, we met her in the short story, and then I was like, I'm still nervous about meeting the Queen because she was building up to it, like this point, and we're meeting the King too. So I was like, oh no, this is I don't know. I was nervous. It's like, and you'd already met her because I had read the short story first. And I was like, she was just there. She met her. So it's like, what's the big deal? But at the same time, it's like everyone else was making a big deal out of it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
it's like, she's just kind of like, I'm going to be sookie about this. But no,
Definitely going
it's
to
like,
be
I have to dress up. Yeah, it's formal. She
I
was
think it's
expecting you last night, Sookie. Why didn't you show up? Well, I was in the hospital.
after being almost killed for the 50th time, actually. And I'm
Within a
very
month.
upset with that.
Oh, I was held
Yeah.
up, like literally.
Yeah.
I think the hierarchy though, so it shows the European monarchy system, doesn't it? And they've taken it with them and just divided the states into kingdoms for themselves. And I think it sort of now makes sense why they use sort of the terms of sheriff, like Eric's a sheriff. So yeah, it's interesting. And Howard's not love based. These are big political
Yeah.
marriages.
Almost arranged marriages for political gain.
She's kind of aligning it with American politics, though, because we do have a governor in every state. We do have actually have county sheriffs. So, I mean, my state doesn't have quite as many counties as like Louisiana or whatever, but still, I don't think so. I doubt it. Because I'm like, I live in a teeny tiny state. Louisiana's like 5 times the size. But it is,
Bigger
it
than
seems like
England.
yeah, yeah. I my state's about the same size as England. But it's like, it's kinda like it is, it kinda aligns with, American politics in a
So
way. It's like
blending the two, blending
yeah,
the monarch structure into the
kinda,
sort of political structure. Yeah.
kinda, 'cause, like, Eric's like a local law enforcement, kinda, but over a larger region, so he is more like a county sheriff. They do call him a sheriff. So,
Mhm.
like, yeah, I can't imagine him being police. Hey, I also run this bar on the side.
It's that sort of thing reminds me of sort of the Godfather trilogy. Do you know when they've always got a legitimate thing going on?
Yes,
Like
I.
Fantasia is
Yeah.
just a front. It,
It
you
is,
know what I
it's
mean?
just
It's
for
to launder the
something.
money through.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I thought the Queen was done brilliantly because I feel like she's built up to be this really big, intimidating character, and then you meet her and like she is like a badass bitch. She's got her shit in order. She runs stuff how she wants to run it, but you also get to see this like really sad, vulnerable side of her that
Mm,
like she maybe wouldn't show to a lot of people, but she clearly felt comfortable sharing with Suki because of her relationship with Hadley. And I felt like we got to know Hadley a lot more in this one as well. And sort of what the relationship between her and the Queen meant to her and the lengths that she could have potentially have went to try and keep that to herself. And I think that's maybe like one of the things that we've seen where like a vampire has turned a human and like they haven't lost all of that human emotion right away, like still having that sense of jealousy and that like no, like I just want to be with you and I don't want you to be with anybody else, which seems in this world to be a very human notion. Everybody else is a wee bit more open-minded, but I just thought that was done really well.
I think I was also kinda nervous about the Queen because she was like I was afraid she'd wanna keep Sookie around, like, she was gonna try and replace Hadley with Sookie, and I was like, "I'm kinda nervous about this because I mean, can you say no to the Queen?" I mean, she's kind of getting, like, lax with Eric, and she's kinda starting to get her, like, "This is my attitude, look, it's just like yours, except I'm Sookie." But with the queen, we don't really know her that well, and it's just like, is she gonna try and keep, because she mentioned that the other, what's his name? The other king he's got a telepath too. So it's like, is she trying to try to collect these people or what?
Pets. Little pets.
Yeah.
Jack's just saying the Queen's backstory is so great.
Yeah.
Oh, Alice, the audiobooks are phenomenal. I'm using the audiobooks and they're brilliant.
I've got the audiobooks too. I do that thing where I listen and read.
I've been listening and then just like following along on the book. I'm like, it's great because Joanna Parker's she's like Southern Belle.
Yeah.
She's got that vibe.
Jack calls her Sookie in real life. Jack's just called her Sookie in real life.
Yeah.
She absolutely is. She's fantastic. And she just gets like her mannerisms and her sassiness like down to a T. She's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I think as well with it being sort of first person narrative, the flow of the story, because you just hear her voice and her interpretation of what's going on, and she just nail it. So
she does.
And the one-liners, she just delivers that one-liners with a pause as well. She'll deliver the one-liner with a pause, and then like she just gives you enough time to like go.
Yeah,
they're brilliant. They're so good. And then, as soon as you're talking about the Queen, makes sense to move on to the Vampire War. I was like living for all this, like it was so brilliant, honestly. I think that's probably why this one is one of my favourites, because I just really love the politics, and I really love like how quick the escalation is, and I love knowing like whose side people are on in the room. Like, are they going to side with the Queen? Are they going to side with the King? What's going to happen to Sookie? Like, there's just so much going on, and I was like, I was eating it up. It was fantastic.
Okay. And then, of course, Eric appears.
Yes.
Yeah.
I found that scene more like almost like a slapstick type, like, okay, this is going down. Sookie's just like, all right, I'm aiming for the door.
I'm getting out of here.
I'm getting out of here. I don't want to get involved. And then she's kind of getting involved, but she's just like, all right, we're going to go through this room. And then the king and the queen. Oh, no. Yeah, no, it was the queen and, oh my God, I forgot his name. They're in this like bedroom and they're like, oh yeah, you can go through there. This is how you get out.
I get the impression Sookie was like, it was bad enough with witches. I'm not getting involved with vampires.
He's like, do I know? I'm just moving on.
Yeah.
See you later.
I know what they can do, so they're going to start doing it to each other. But I'm out of here.
It was like so funny, because you had this like really serious, politically driven vampire war, and then Sookie just fawn about with her boobs out.
Yeah, it was her outfit that set the whole scene.
Yes. A wee Borat mankini is Jack.
And then when everything's all done, and she's laying on the ground, and she's like, my boobs are hanging out, and all I'm like, okay, so they're just like cockeyed and all directions. And she's just like on the ground, like, hey.
One's away to the shop, and the other one's bringing back the change.
Yeah. One's still tucked in a little bit. What's worse is that Quinn was right there, and he's like, you got to get over this fence, and it's like she couldn't just mount him and go over the fence, and she's just like climbing over the fence, like in this raggedy dress thing, whatever it was. And then she's just like, all right, well, I got it. That's a big fall. Let me just slowly ease myself. And then boop, she's on the ground. And then he's just like, I'm here. Her boobs are hanging out, going everywhere.
But now I'm naked because I'm cheap.
Yeah, she's pretty much just like completely nude.
Oh, fantastic.
You couldn't take her over the fence in that dress that she's expected to somehow fight in. Or whatever.
But again,
save yourself.
For anybody who has ever like played any video games, especially earlier video games, like your female badass characters are very
yeah.
scantily clad, and like
Yeah.
their armor is offering them no protection. Like
Yeah.
in any of the vital areas, they are covering a nipple. Like, and so I feel like this was just Charlene Harris like poking fun at that trope
Yeah.
because like she's in like a war right now and she's literally cutting about in the tiniest dress possible where like it's not even containing her boobs, so like it's certainly no going to help her at all. And again, I just thought that was like top notch like social
Yeah,
comedy
it's
because
the realism of it. If this is what was happening, your boobs would be falling out.
yes, because
Right.
like most writers who would have their characters or their video game characters that scantily clad didn't understand the realistically that's no holding your boobs. Like whereas Charlene Harris was like, fine, if that's the trope, then I'll roll with it, but her tits are going to be everywhere. Like, because that's what would happen, and I just love that. She's such
They're
she
gonna
just
stay level, aren't they?
feminist points so subtly that you're like, oh, I love you.
I also love that she never put Sookie in the situations that like she knows she's just not going to deal with. Like Sookie didn't like kung fu herself like across to the door. She was like scampering along the floor
Yeah.
and hiding behind walls. Like what's going on here? So
Like
like
a wee
in other
cartoon
places it
character.
would be like she just, you know what I mean? All of a sudden
Yeah.
she was a gymnast and shit. You know what I mean? Tumbled across the floor. Where yeah, she was just like, yeah, tits out. Get me to the door.
Yes,
The
the
lime green
lime
man
green. It was lime green. And
Yeah.
it's like she's like, I want to know in what area. What is that formal wear? What is it formal wear? I was like,
No idea.
why would they choose this outfit? I was like, oh boy, this is not gonna go well. And that's
I
actually
think
in your chat.
was Borat after or before
Yeah,
Sookie?
yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
I think he may have been inspired by Charlene Harris's fashion choices.
Boop, boop.
Somebody just pops up and back for her as well. I forgot about that.
That's true. I remember
It was
that
like,
now.
does anybody remember? Was it Richard and Judy when they won that award and Judy's dress was popped open and like her boobs were out when she was receiving this award, and I can't remember who it was, but somebody for the audience just sums up and like covers her up because we noticed that her entire blouse just like popped open.
How come from Sookie Stackhouse to Richard and Judy? I would have never had
That's a
her
very
in the boot
natural
club.
progression point.
I wonder if Sookie's ever been one of their boot club picks. Oh, yeah.
Oh, so funny. Men,
What else have you got us to talk? Oh, Bill's a ball bag, yeah.
Yeah.
I thought we
That's
would
just a
end
given
on a
nowadays.
natural end point.
Oh,
I really felt for Sookie in this one because Bill was her first love, and like I was saying in the last live show we did, I feel like she feels she'll always have a wee thing for him with being her first love, and I feel like this is the realization that like she actually will me because it was all based on lies and manipulation, and I think it's going to take her a wee bit of time to get over that hurt. And I don't think that'll detract from her relationship with Quinn, but I think it'll be like a separate pain that she'll go through. And I really felt for her. Aye, he's a
He was
ball.
like going out of his way to make her feel bad by bringing what's her name into the bar all the time. And it's
He
like,
was.
come on, you're kind of being a dick. And then when we get that bombshell, it's like, all right, you're kind of a wicked dick or a ball
You know
bag.
what else really annoyed me? I don't remember specifically what it was, but Sookie didn't tell him something, and like he got really annoyed and he was like, I can't believe you didn't tell me this. Like, what a way to get back at me. And it's
All
like,
right. Yeah.
like, you are not together anymore, so you have no
Yeah.
right to know what is actually going on in her life. And by her choosing not to tell you, it's not her getting back at you. It's because like you don't have a relationship anymore.
you're not relevant anymore, Bill.
Aye, like you don't need to know all your business. Like back the fuck off. That got me so unhealthily annoyed. I was like raging. I could have flung that book away. Like I got that angry. I really detest them.
That's why I sort of like the relationship that she then built with Alcide and now with Quinn, because I think she did have this thing that the vampires, do you know what I mean? Where she's actually got someone now where they sort of standoffish from Quinn to a degree. Maybe not as much as Alcide, but definitely Quinn has this sort of aura around her where all the supernaturals are a bit not intimidated by him maybe, or respect him a little bit more, that they don't push the boundaries with him. Like when he took her to the bar, didn't he, to say like this has happened, and they're like, can't believe he did that, but it's because he's got that air around him to like take care of her. So interesting, because she really wouldn't be able to defend herself from and we've seen that in previous like story posts about her. So I like the fact she's got someone, and now that she's got a friend Amelia. I think that's going to be really good. And the cat, because I just find that so funny. Because I would do something like that if I was a witch. I'd be like, I was practicing, turn Dale into a cat.
You would.
See, I wouldn't practice on my kids, but I'd probably turn Dale into a cat. Definitely.
Did she bring him with her?
Yeah.
I missed that. I'm like, oh no. Oh, that's actually really cute.
See, that's a spoiler, but it's fun. It is fun.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's really cute. Because I didn't think of that.
They've got a cat in the house and a tiger.
I know.
Oh, well.
Apparently cat boyfriends are trendy. Somebody alert all the grannies.
Yeah, it's like the biggest cat in the world, and my little pet cat.
Yeah. He was so cute.
Jack's gonna what about Queen's hand?
Poor Jack.
See, Alice knew what I was on about with Judy's wardrobe malfunction. You need to YouTube this like after we finish.
Phyllis Sam doesn't know who Richard and Judy are.
They're like morning TV hosts, and Judy is like
the man and wife as well.
And the man and wife, aye. But when this happened, she was like late 40s maybe, and just like an entire chest was out. It was a wee shame.
On national telly.
To see who's accepting this award. Hi, love.
Too much conversation.
It's the real,
like Jack, I did not.
We're all grossed out.
And then after Jack mentioned that, I was like, oh.
This is what would happen in real life.
I don't know. I'm not going to get attacked after, like a over the pants situation. And then they end up fighting.
Yeah. I think Quinn's definitely got more of a backstory. That's going to.
Oh, yeah.
For sure. For sure.
We got to find out about his pants. And does he? I'm curious if he's wearing underwear. Does he bother with that? He must go through a lot of clothes.
The last thing to chat about is the short stories. So I haven't read any yet. Hold on till I get my book. Oh, you'll need to tell me what one I need to have read.
There's 3. I have it right here. Da-da-da, and I just read them.
This is one
mine's upstairs.
Okay, there's 3 of them. That the first one, Fairy Dust, gave us info on Claude and is it Claudine and Claudette?
Claude. You're in Claudette.
Claudette.
So there's a third, the triplet.
There's a third fairy, yeah. But we find out.
Have you read that one yet? No. Have you not read any of them? No spoilers, Sam. She hasn't read any of them.
It's all right. I'm fine with spoilers.
I'm just warning you,
But I thought
Sam.
that was mentioned. It's just a detail.
I'm just joking, Sam. I'm just joking because that's what people have to tell me.
And then there's Dracula Night,
Yeah.
which was
I-
that had nothing to do with anything.
It's
It
got
was just a
nothing
party.
to do with anything.
It's just a party at Eric's bar.
I mean,
And it
that
just
sounds like a great time.
It
There's
just
more
gives
to
you
it.
some sort of Eric and Pam time,
But
really.
it was
That's not
one word
interesting.
answer. Yeah, one
So the
word
first three I
answer.
need to read then.
I would
Yeah, the
read
first
one word.
three.
Yeah, the first three. Because
Okay.
the
I'll
next
catch
one
up with them
is
today.
the next one. I was just looking that up because the next one is after the next book.
Right, cool. Okay.
So, and then I
And
think the last one is like after book 8 or 9 or something like that.
yeah, and you don't have to read them to enjoy the series, but the sort of bridges into the stories, and it just gives you a little bit more background on some of the things. Like you're already introduced to the Queen in the short story as
Yeah.
you move in.
I've never read any of the
Definitely
short
did.
stories, so I'm excited as well, Alex.
Well,
that-
that's your homework for this afternoon, Mimi.
Yeah, they're
You've got
quick.
3
Yeah.
short stories to read.
But one word answer really did open my eyes to vampire politics in particular. And it I mean, it introduced you to the Queen, but it was the whole story premise. It felt like that was probably the first chapter in this book that got cut because it was kind of like it was a little wordy. There's a lot of
It is one of the longer
backstory
short
stuff.
stories.
Yeah, it is the longest in this one, in this collection. Woo!
Oh, I'm so excited now.
And
So
what
then-
I see, I've still got my 3 for 2 sticker on for Waterstones. And it's covering
Oh,
Ryan's
next
face,
book.
Jack.
Next
Next
book.
book. Altogether dead.
That's
And
Eric.
I've read the blurb this morning, so I'm not going to read it because it will have spoilers in.
I wonder if all your blurbs are the same, or if I've got different covers, if it's different blurbs as well.
But I can't remember Jason being in this book as much. So once again, the character may have no correlation to the story.
Mine always hints at something that's going to happen in the book.
Well, I only
And
realised
yours has a cat on it.
that mine's
that a
also does
cat?
that in the blood splatters. I'm assuming
Yeah.
But
That's
I
either
think
the tiger or
the cat.
or the cat. That's what I'm thinking. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
the cat. Because this was the other cover. It had the tiger. That's why I was joking. I was like, how does she not know it's a Bengal tiger? That Quinn was a tiger, like a Bengal tiger. It's on the cover.
But talk about Charlene bringing it into realism. Hurricane Katrina
Yes.
is in this.
Yeah.
And how it
Okay.
devastates New Orleans.
Okay. Because she mentioned that in here, but she wanted to keep it authentic because it took place in March. And Katrina happened. When did that happen? I think it was a summertime event because it was definitely hurricane season.
She actually builds in the realism of New Orleans into the universe of what's going on with the Queen.
Okay.
Oh, exciting. I'm so excited. I think, to be honest, my afternoon is just going to be catching up on the 3 short stories and then starting Altogether Dead.
Well, I've got some pottering to do, so I'm going to start listening to this one. And tonight I'm watching the Stereophonics on BBC Two. That's the live on BBC Two. I'm telling everyone, you need to watch it. No comments about Stereophonics fans, Jack.
Does Jack not like Stereophonics?
I don't know, but she's made some assumptions about people who listen to other bands, so
God,
I'm just
look at my shuffle.
live.
Make some assumptions about me.
Oh, it's all to do with poor Alice and an encounter with lots of concert goers in the middle of the concert. That's how old I am.
What's wrong with the word concert?
Some festival goers in the middle of the road. Poor Alice had to contend with last night unexpectedly. So, we all made some assumptions about their health and safety knowledge, maybe. See, I was trying to be nice, but then Jack's just said who they were.
My sister used to
He
be a
looks
real
so
fan of
cute.
theirs.
Is that the guy with the ginger hair? What's he called? He's very
McCucknell.
odd looking.
Maybe we've gone down a different route now.
He unsettles me to look at, and I know that's offensive, but he just gives me the creeps.
He could be king of the fairies. That's what he looks like. He could be, or a demon.
Demon.
We're starting rumours here.
Yeah.
I'm
So-
definitely a witch. If I was any supernatural creature in this book, I think 100% I'd be a witch.
Oh, that's a good question. So what would you
Yeah.
be? Answers in the comments, people.
Yeah. I think I'd end up
Oh.
as a vampire eventually. I'd
Oh.
want to be a fairy. Kind of. I don't know. I don't like people they want to be eaten all the time. They're like, oh, ooh. I don't like
No,
that.
it sounds like a lot of
Oh.
hassle, doesn't it?
It's too
And
much
I know-
effort.
I didn't feel like I'm positive enough to be a fairy. Like, they'd come in with a sparkly bullshit, and I'd be like, Goigi's 5 minutes peace.
That's me.
You would be a fairy.
Yeah.
100% would be.
Come on, people. It'll be fine.
Jack would be a witch too. Oh, let's start a coven.
Can I join as long as no vampires?
Aye.
Oh, with a name like mine, I would have to be an angel if they do appear
Yeah.
later on.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think I'd prefer fairy. I think I'd be good
Let's
at that.
be a witch as well. Jack with a cat boyfriend. I mean, I want to marry you. That's fair. Animals are the best. I actually treat Bailey like he's my baby. It's like unhealthy.
I don't even know where Bella's gone. Oh, she's
He'll
asleep
up
on
and
the
puts his
sofa.
wee paws on you, like he wants to be lifted, like a wee baby would put their arms up, and I'd lift him and I hold him like he's a wee baby, and he loves it.
Oh, yeah.
But he's like a chunky wee dude, so I can only do it for a wee while. But aye. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for joining. It has been great.
It was lovely to spend my Saturday morning with you all.
Yeah.
Well,
Talking Sookie. It must be really
Yeah.
early for you though, Sam.
Yeah,
Is
what
it?
time is it? I was just now hit 7 a.m. I got up around 5-ish, but I was like, I kept waking up from like 3 a.m. every 15 minutes. I'm like,
oh, I hate days like that. It's so annoying. Bye,
See you
Alice.
later,
Bye.
Alice.
Well, bye, guys. Thank you very much again for
Yeah.
joining.
And if anybody ever wants to join us, just let us know. And thank you to Amy for hosting it on our channel today because it should have been on mine, but Amy has the pleasure. So thank you, Amy.
You're very
Thank you,
welcome.
Amy.
Bye.
Bye.